If you want, I'm ready.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Let's just go to Jack as well. Yeah, okay, go ahead, please.
You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
All right. Let's get this rolling here. Can everybody see that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, according to Mo, my name is Pet Ferrari, so feel free to bark or meow at me during the course of the next 10 minutes. But truthfully, I'm Pete Ferrari. I'm the founder of Healthy for Life Foods. We're going to be talking about Jaka for the next 10 minutes or so, and that is a rare sugar, technically called allulose. Now, the most important thing really to take away from the next few minutes is that Jaka is actually a sugar. It's a monosaccharide. It's got the same molecular composition as the sugar we grew up with, but the molecules affix themselves together in different groupings, and that's what changes it literally from a poison into a superfood. Operatively, what does that mean? It means it tastes like sugar, it cooks like sugar, it bakes like sugar with none of the health hazards. That's really the most important part of the entire presentation today. Sugar is killing us and we know it. More than half of the adult population in America is diabetic or pre-diabetic. 77% of Americans are trying to decrease their sugar intake, but sugar is still preferred 4 to 1 due to taste. There simply is. Can you all hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
There,
yeah.
there simply has not been a remedy for the taste problem. And in fact, the 2025 to 2030 dietary guidelines have just come out, and they're suggesting that no amount of sucrose or non-nutritive sweeteners, which is all the rest, Splenda, Equal, Sweet and Low, no amount, not dialed back, zero amount of any of the above should find its way into a healthy diet. This is markedly different from decades gone by. Interestingly enough, the FDA classifies allulose as a sugar molecule. So it classifies Jaka as neither of the two. And that's because Jaka is a superior sugar that is actually healthy for you. It's a huge market, $22 billion domestically, $100 billion globally. But what's really fascinating is the allulose submarket. The allulose submarket this time last year, 12 months ago, was entirely valued at $50 million with a 10% CAGR. Fast forward 12 months, that's 2026. This industry is valued at $450 million with a 32.3% CAGR. So phenomenal growth in this industry with regard to allulose as a submarket. But then again, the total arena we're playing in is sugars and sweeteners, which is 22 billion domestically. As I've suggested, this is a super sugar. It's got all of the bells and whistles, all of the badges you would want formulaically. It's keto friendly, diabetic friendly, non-GMO, vegan, Proposition 65 compliant, FDA GRAS status, zero glycemic index. The list goes on. But what's really compelling about this sugar from my standpoint is the bottom row on this slide. This sugar never hits the gut. It stays in the intestinal tract, and what is not used is excreted through the urine. And that's really why we find the benefits that it does, because when you ingest it, it activates certain hormones and enzymes in the intestinal tract, including the GLP-1 hormone. We all know what that is from Ozempic. GLP-1 regulates appetite. Activated in the intestines, got receptors in the hypothalamus and the brainstem. Signals are sent to the brain upon ingestion or upon shot, in Ozempic's case. It says, hey, you're full, stop eating, full timeout. You don't need to eat anymore. Well, naturally, with the natural component of this sugar, GLP-1 is activated to help you regulate appetite. The opposite of conventional sugar, which has been clinically proven to be 10 times more addictive than cocaine. And that's why the large scale food and beverage companies don't want any part of it. Coca-Cola doesn't want you to drink 3/4 of a Coca-Cola that tastes exactly like Coca-Cola, not Diet Coke, because Jaka is a sugar. And at 3/4 of a Coca-Cola, you're satisfied, you're full, you don't need anymore. They want you to drink 10 Coca-Colas. That's what that's all about. And that's why there's a huge awareness gap in this country. According to the International Food Information Council, less than 15% of Americans have ever heard of this sugar. By contrast, Japan, the healthiest culture in the world with a 3% countrywide obesity rate, 3 versus 70, they use this ingredient in north of 10,000 products. 30 years of clinical trial data behind this super sugar from reputable universities and democracies across the world, including Japan and South Korea. We launched a year ago. Our KPIs are phenomenal. Half of our revenue comes from repeat purchases. Our June revenue 2026 versus June revenue 2025 is up 471%. So our KPIs are killing it. Now, I attribute some of this 3.66 ROAS. Last month, it was actually 6.67 ROAS to our partnership with Howie Mandel. Howie's been great for us. 300 placements on television channels and streaming channels. Really good for marketability, having America's dad on our side. But we've also got AI engines that we're using that are really helping us. Naturally, and I'll describe that on another slide. We've naturally got a B2B component as well. We've got some co-brand deals where folks are buying a metric ton of Jaka from us at a time, putting it in their ingredients, like their supplement products or their drink products, allowing us to put our logo on their labels. So it's a free marketing lift. A number of SKUs, as you can see, 2 of them currently on the market. The rest are formulated. The R&D has been done, but they're not inventoried. Part of this round goes towards inventorying 5 of these SKUs where we'll stage them into the market to keep the market excited. We really fancy ourselves a health and well-being company. Y'all have heard me say this a bunch of times if you've seen this presentation before, because this is largely the reason I got into this business. I grew up in the gutter. My father was killed when I was 10 years old, and I grew up in extreme poverty, not eating every day. And I learned very early on the importance of nutrition. Nutrition is destiny. Nutrition is power. And I vowed that if I ever found a way to help people understand the importance in the mind, body, soul connection where nutrition lies, that I would do it. Jaka is the catalyst. And we think Jaka can be the catalyst for families and individuals who are struggling across this country with obesity and obesity-related illness because of the metabolic benefits. Activates fat-burning enzymes, controls appetite, keto and diabetic friendly. So we put our money where our mouth is there. We want to build a Jaka community, and this gives us moat. We've got a podcast series that's 50 deep now. It's been a year. Everyone from cardiovascular surgeons to clinicians to Navy SEAL best-selling authors. So we want people to go out there and listen to podcasts about better health and find a better quality of life. As well, we've created 4 templates for health and well-being, free, downloadable on the website: nutrition, mindset, lifestyle, and then a delta analysis as well, so that you can keep track over time, all for free. We've got a 501c3 that we've established. We help to feed the 14 million children that don't eat every day, like me. 10% of our profits go into this foundation. I mentioned this, and I'm only going to mention this briefly. I mentioned this previously, was that we're doing a lot of good stuff with AI. According to a McKinsey 2025 benchmark study, we're in the top 0.04% globally with what we're doing for AI. We've got AI engines out on the internet. We're not just analyzing ad spend in the back office like most people are doing. We're not just running reports. We've got active polling engines on the internet, capturing long tail prompts from ChatGPT for people that have intention, capturing demand, capturing views, pointing people to the website to purchase. Not 1% of the country is doing that at this point. This goes back to my tech background, which we'll talk about in a moment. But this is what I believe is contributing to our KPI performance. The fact that this is polling 24/7, 365. It's free. It's constantly learning. It's reapproaching, cross-selling, and upselling without us having to intervene. Oracle on the back end, I probably should have mentioned as well. We were one of 50 companies asked to participate in the Oracle Accelerator program. So since day one, we've had Oracle on the back end for stability. We have an interest in getting into manufacturing, so we've developed a provisional patent as well. This patent is compelling for me because we're very into environmental sustainability. And this particular process for manufacturing allulose has 25 times less byproduct and waste than one of the leading manufacturers of allulose in the world, Tate & Lyle out of Europe, a huge company. So this is very much a big blip on our radar screen. This patent has a 92% chance of being accepted.
Your printer works fine.
The team is strong. My business partner and I have been building companies together for 35 years. We built the 3 tech companies I mentioned that I built through the liquidity event in the 90s. I built them with him. Then we got into real estate development for 15 years. We did real estate developments in 4 states. We have complete mind share. For the rest of it, we've kind of embraced the Mr. Wonderful country of Denmark operational model for staffing and outsourcing. Everybody is probationary. Nobody is full-time. That enables me to lower my total cost of workforce by 90%. And I'm able to leverage best of breed companies from an outsourcing standpoint and get a team of people instead of hiring one person and rolling the dice. And if something happens with that best of breed company, I make 2 phone calls. I fire one and I hire another, onboard them, and we're further on down the road. This has proven to be not only economical in the last year, but phenomenally strategic. I fully embrace this methodology. I don't know how much time I have left, Mo, because I can't see the timer like I usually can, but I'll speed up. Our team is strong from an... Sir?
Yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay. I'm almost done. Team is strong, including the chief First ever chief science officer at Coca-Cola, Dr. Rona Applebaum. She is a juggernaut in the space, world renowned, one of my favorite advisors. She loves allulose. I didn't even have to talk her into being an advisor. Dr. Tom Arad is the inventor of craisins for Ocean Spray, literally catapulted a juice company into a food products company we know today. John Crane is a Wharton guy. Went to JP Morgan I went to Southeast Asia about 30 years ago to build out the JP Morgan base of operations even before Chase. So he helps us with our financials. We're raising $5 million at a $20 million valuation. 67% goes towards advertising. We spent the last year as an infrastructure first company, stabilizing KPIs, worried about performance, not results from a revenue standpoint, ERP stabilizing the back end with Oracle, AI engines scaling and polling. Now I'm ready to fuel this F1 engine and go turbo. And that's where the advertising comes in, naturally new SKUs, inventory, SG&A, and the like. So I hope that wasn't too much information in a short period of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, time for the Q&A.
Yeah, what's your
Jolene?
exit strategy?
It's interesting. This came up on the last virtual call, and I'll try to keep this brief, but I go back and forth on exit. I wrangle with it every day. Number one, our exit, whether it's acquisition or IPO, is going to fundamentally be determined by what the investors want, right? The investors are number one in this company, period. We're in our third round. I've already got two rounds under my belt. And so really we're going to look for that guidance as the market evolves, and hopefully we'll get the indications of which way we should go. The reasons why I toil with this, if we get acquired, that's an 18 to 24 month play at the most. That'd be great. The multiple in this market is 14.8x EBITDA. That's what Swerve Sweetener was acquired for by Whipstitch out of New England. So we're looking at a 15 to 25x multiple, which is strong. Not the problem, but the issue with being acquired is that I lose control of the narrative, right? I'm not going to be able to continue to convey this message of good health and well-being and help people who are struggling in this country. IPO enables me to control the narrative. Now, I've done an IPO in the early 90s. It damn near killed me. It's super hard, and it is sometimes not enough juice for the squeeze, but that enables me to continue to control the narrative and make this a generational message that can help people for decades to come. Either way, this is an 18 to 24 month play.
Jolene, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a great presentation, Pete. I think I saw you present a few months ago. You've come quite a long ways. My
Thank you.
question is, you're hitting all your benchmarks, but my concern as an investor, what is your monthly burn rate? And how much
Love that.
runway do you have?
I love that question because of the whole Mr. Wonderful staffing. I mean, we raised $1.5 million in our second round that enabled us to launch. That was about 1.5 years ago at this point. If I went and hired a big, gigantic executive team, CFO, CMO, COO, and I hired all these accounting people and all these marketing stuff, that $1.5 million from payroll expenses, insurance, it would be gone. As it turns out, I've got these best of breed companies that I'm able to leverage. My burn rate is $32,000 to $35,000 a month. We've got 350 grand in the bank still. So if I don't bring in another nickel of revenue, I've got 10 months of runway at this current burn rate. And this machine is flowing. We could continue at this level and still but build robust KPIs and robust revenues over that 10 months. So I'm kind of wearing that as a badge of honor. I'm pretty proud of that fact. We've got a whole bunch of time left to be able to execute.
I have one quick question. What keeps you up at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Have you seen my emails? I'm at my desk by 3 a.m. every day at the latest. And I'll tell you what keeps me up. This is gonna sound contrived and trite. I can't sleep because I'm so damn excited about what's happening here. That's why I can't sleep. That's why I roll over at 2:30 in the morning wide awake and I get to this desk. I've done probably $500 million in transactions across the 5 companies I've built in the last 40 years. I've been in real estate, I've been in tech, I've been in telecom. Not one of those companies has got me as excited as this company and our ability to help millions of people who are struggling. I can't get to market and grow and scale this company fast enough. That's what keeps me up at night. I want to be doing infomercials. We've got a huge awareness gap. Once you taste this sugar, it tastes like sugar. You have an aha moment. You're a customer because of all the metabolic and physiological benefits. The problem is everybody hears, oh, here we go, another sugar, and they think it's Splenda, they think it's saccharin, they think it's going to taste like shit. So you've got to taste it. How do I get people to taste it? Mainstream advertising, infomercials, streaming channel commercials. That's where we're going to become the Kleenex of the allulose space, because nobody's running mainstream commercials, and the education awareness gap is so huge. That's what keeps me awake at night, is getting that audience so that we could scale this business and help people quicker.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, we have Shalish. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mustafa. Hi, Pete. It's good to see you. I've heard this your presentation a couple of times. Always, your story is really, I see the passion and the mission. In terms of as an investor, the question that comes to my mind is, and coming from a medical background, especially from a metabolic product development side as well, when you speak about you have patents that really helps in terms of the ability to, from manufacturing and potentially from a decreasing waste side. So that's maybe it's niche. The claims that you are talking, how are those sort of addressed in terms of the manufacturing process of being able to hopefully in terms of cost of goods, the actual production, there is could you speak to that? And then the second piece, I think when you say that it is a from a GLP point of view, it's activation GLP-1. Do you have any data that sort of if there is any to sort of because then you're bringing in these fantastic benefits in terms of replacing traditional sugar, while be able to potentially either depending on its usage improve in terms of weight loss and so on. So I'm curious around if there is any evidence generated or planned, because then it could potentially help replace the current sugar use, right? And maybe last point would be to understand revenue. Is there in terms of any of this, it's a pure commercial play, then what is the revenue versus the burn rate?
Sure, happy to describe. I hope we have enough time, Mo. I'll try to speak quickly and keep it brief. The interesting component about the health claims is that all of the claims that we've discussed, the activation of GLP-1, the activation of CPT-1 and CPT-2 to burn fat, the activation of synthase and carboxylase to block fat, all of these claims are backed by actual clinical trial data that has been executed internationally. So you've got reputable universities like Kagawa University in Japan, in association with the Japanese government, and Kyungpook University in South Korea, in association with the South Korean government, that have created these clinical trials and are illustrating what I've shared with you today. And you've touched upon something that I think is really important, and then I'll move to the next piece of the question. Part of our vision is to replicate those clinical trials domestically in the US, because no one has done that. And so think about this. All of these have been done internationally, and that's great because it helps me convey a message that is concrete and tangible. But what if I replicate them here in the US and that becomes Healthy for Life Foods IP? I already know how they're going to turn out. I'm not speculating with the clinical trials. I already know how they turn out. I've seen it at Kagawa University. So part of our vision is to conduct these clinical trials here, establish this as our own IP that we own. Then the valuation goes through the roof. And thanks to Dr. Applebaum, who's got extensive reach at Wisconsin University, Emory, UCLA, I'm going to be able to facilitate these clinical trials for pennies on the dollar. She can walk me into the provost in any of those universities. So it's a big part of our plan. As it relates to, I think another question surrounded kind of cost of goods sold in association with manufacturing. Is that right, Shailesh?
Yeah, very quickly, in terms of if you have a different process versus traditional allulose, if that impacts any cost of goods, and more importantly, I want to know the revenue where you are. So if you can't answer it, and because of time, we can have a follow-up conversation.
Oh, Okay, cool. And I'd love a follow-up super quick. Yes, our enzymatic process for the extraction of allulose from fructose, it's hydrolyzation and isomerization. It does focus on extracting economically allulose from any fructose with 25%, 25 times less waste. That's going to enable our cost of goods sold to go through the floor. It's a novel and innovative process that beats some of the biggest manufacturers in the world. And so we've got an ability once we execute to bring our cost of goods sold way down, but also control the supply chain. So that's going to impact the economics greatly. I've already specced out what it's going to cost to build that plant, get what the machinery will cost, what the site's going to cost, and what the erection of the building is going to cost. So that's all in the model. Now, as far as it relates to revenue, our KPIs are astounding. As you saw, half our revenue comes from repeat, five times MRR, 5 times subscription in the last 4 months. We've got 24% conversion. Our revenue currently is $20,000 a month, but we're only spending $10,000 a month on ads, which is anemic. It's anorexic in the social media world, and that's actually deliberate and another badge of honor. I did not want to rent revenue. We got $1.5 million. I could have thrown 100 grand a month at social media advertising, and I could have artificially inflated numbers to say that our revenue is 200 grand a month. Those numbers would be hollow. The KPIs would not be reliable, and all I'm basically doing is renting those numbers. We spent the time to get these KPIs stabilized. Anemic ad spend is generating amazing revenue. Now we're ready for this advertising, 67% of 5 million to fuel that F1 engine. And that's when revenues are going to take off. That's why our year one projection is $37 million from the time we get this 5 million in and we're able to deploy it based upon solid KPI data in the mainstream ad market and the social media market.
Thank you. So that's kind of the end of it.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, appreciate it. We will follow up with sharing the deck and presentation anyway. So let's just move on to SkyMirr. Are you ready now?
Thanks in advance for helping.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can share it.
All right, cool.
It's the only shot I have, folks. While he's bringing it up, a couple of introductory points. I sit, in a sense, on both sides of this in the wireless tech industry. I'm a co-founder along with Eric Joe. I chair the company. He's the CEO currently in Asia. So I'll be spending time with you by myself today. We are both the co-founders, and he is a world-class antenna expert. My exits have been in the networking product space, also in wireless. And so with that, hopefully we can get started here.
Are you be able to share your screen?
I sent it to you, which is the only shot that I had, Mustafa.
You want me to share my screen?
I would appreciate it, given the place that I'm in here, and
All
it's
right,
not what you see behind me. It's it's a secure facility. In fact, I'll talk a little bit about that. Sorry.
Yeah, let me share my screen. No,
Yeah,
no
the
worries
communications are horrible, so forgive me for that.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Give me a second.
Let me start so we use our time efficiently here. SkyMirr makes extremely high performance RF products where the performance of the link matters heavily in the application. It's built on patented RF technology, patented, not patent pending. And so we combine our expertise in product with our world-class expertise, in product, with the ability to have created companies in the past and created this company that has powerful channel partners that are assuring our success. And I'll talk about how we get to market, why it matters, and the progress we've made, and then at the very end, the offer itself. Go to the next one, please. These are the 5 points that I'm going to expand upon before I get to the offering. The first is that IoT and broadband services today increasingly depend on powerful RF links. This is not your fathers and mothers RF problem of the, did I hear the 80s or 90s earlier before the meeting officially got started? I'm in this as co-founder and investor because the performance now of Harry Winston jewelries across the country, of powerful IoT sensors that sit in the back of trucks for transport, for health tech, those wireless applications that start inside the body with a very powerful antenna all the way to the doctors and research offices to analyze the patient's results, all have created a new age for high performance wireless tech. The tech that I'm talking about is not the backbone of these networks, it's the gear that hangs off them. And so our problem is to fix that RF issue with patented technology called MulCat. It doesn't matter for this 10 minutes exactly what it is, but I'll leave this with you. For any frequencies of interest, for any size of antenna that you're constrained to, for any product that it's embedded in, it's significantly better. And our world-class team, starting with my co-founder partner, is the guy that has the credibility to make it happen and has made it happen. And we have a variety of proof points in the industry. And so what I'm about to expand on here are those 5 essential points. Let's go to the next one, please. With respect to market size, look to the upper right-hand corner, if you would, and this is all performance-oriented. $350 million a year in fixed wireless access. That is to say, not through the fiber cable plant, but access from a variety of locations that need the highest possible speed. And the number of users in fixed wireless is exploding. Look at the $2.9 billion there for that aspect of it, and the staggering number of individuals that are and businesses that are accessing this need in the marketplace. You may know that there's a war between T-Mobile and Verizon and AT&T, all of which are our partners, by the way, for better performance and using internet access and Internet of Things in a wireless manner. The key takeaway, performance matters, and we have the answer. Go right ahead. Thanks, Ms. Interestingly enough, in today's wireless world, look in the lower left to the red stack in the hierarchy of things people spend time and money on. RF performance is amazingly not a priority to anyone else in the industry. 2 reasons. They don't have the expertise, and the stress on the applications hasn't been there in the past, but it is now. So we have focused on this by a combination of antenna technology and board design. So we're built RF first with respect to the design, with respect to the antennas that are included in the design. And I'll talk about the products in a minute. We have multiple products already in the marketplace, and some actually already with considerable inventory that we've already spent. Not for you to incur risk on. Go right ahead. If you can go forward. This reiterates that we're in the middle. We're the superior performance guys. We're the first company to really pay attention to this, and the bulkhead antenna, which is the subject of 16 patents, 10 of which have been awarded now, is the reason that we stay this far ahead. I won't cross your eyes today with numbers, but if you're into this sort of thing, we'd love to follow on with you. I will say, though, that this is not a claim. There is verification in the industry by actual measurements, by the fact that we have T-Mobile and Verizon as our channel partners, the biggest wireless companies, especially in 5G technology, that there is. And if you look at their battle cards and if you look at our channel partners, it's them. It's rare that you see a company at our stage actually create these deals with these large companies. So we stand alone in that respect. 2 reasons. Candidly, my partner and I have done it before in this business, and we showed them, and they have conducted the real measurements to prove it. So this is substantial change. Go ahead, Mustafa. Thank you. We're going to pass on this one for today. Well, wait a minute. Except for, look at the right-hand side for this. Imagine connectivity that can go twice as far for the application that you're interested in. Imagine if it's in the med tech business, it can go from inside the body as a sensor or a dispenser of drugs to outside the body to a high-speed network back to a control center. Imagine if it's a tracker, in a personal tracker for somebody climbing telephone poles or in the backs of trucks that can sense not only humidity and temperature if it's eggs, but theft if it's iPhones, through the back of the truck in a reliable way to a very, very close approximation of where the truck is or where the theft occurred. Imagine if you're a router, all of which has our antennas and our products based upon it, which can get to those locations that can't be reached in Africa, in the various sparsely located places in the United States. You get the point. So those 2 times and 3 times are barometers of how strong that is. Let's go forward. We have 3 product lines already developed. And you may have gathered, and I think I talked to some of you beforehand, we already have a Series A. We have a lead investor. We're extending the Series A, and I'll talk about terms in a minute. So in that Series A of $7 million, of which is still about a $1.4 million of dry powder left, which at our burn rate of a couple of $100,000 a month is still considerable time. So we're doing this at the proper time. We have a line of antennas that complement other products. We have a 5G router, that thing in the middle. It's about so big and extremely lightweight. So if you want a point of sale terminal in a collection of stores, and you are in a sparsely located area or a challenged area, or you want backup, stick it on the desk, stick it on your mantle if it's your house, and it uses 5G out the back door. And all of us see the Wi-Fi we're used to for our tablets and smartphones, et cetera. And we've already spent just this moment as we speak, to put 1,000 of those units already in place to begin selling. So you're hitting us right at that point. The thing on the right-hand side of this chart is that tracker I alluded to before. So these products exist. There is no production risk. There is no tech risk at all. Here they are. I'll show you where we do need to spend money and why we're doing this in a minute. Next one. Industry recognition. We were pleased, and you can read these, excuse me, as well as I can. We won a CES Innovation Award 5 months ago, and you can see the others. These are not pay-for-play awards that all of us get in the mail, right? This is real stuff that you have to be recognized, well-connected, well-proven to win. So in terms of, again, proof points, take a look at these as we go through this. I'm not sure. I appreciate the music. There we go. Let me make the performance advantage of this router real for you for a second. So there's 2 circles here. Let me paint the picture. Imagine a tower on the left-hand side in the middle of this circle. And imagine everybody's using somebody else's router along inside that tower to be reached. You can see that even under stressful conditions, you can reach about 14 miles from that tower to get even marginal performance. And of course, better the closer you are. With our router connected to anybody's wireless network, the area doubles. Imagine for a second again that you're trying to develop in Brazil, in South America, in Africa, in building out other parts of the United States, which surprisingly still have a number of challenging areas. Not the least of which, for those I was kidding about Park City before, but It's a real example with real data to back it up. So I think this is very telling. Please take a look at it more later. Let's go forward. A couple of anecdotes and an interesting tale. You've all heard about satellite these days, right? And all the noise made about satellites from a variety of constituencies. The dirty secret about satellite, I mean, by the way, our router covers satellite frequencies too, and we can allow that to happen as a combined land-based and satellite-based terminal. But Starlink is expensive. Starlink can be blocked by trees and mountains, etc. So there is a war going on, for those of you not close to this, in the wireless industry. And it's a war of frenemies. A lot of the announcements, people wrap their arms around Elon Musk and Starlink, but the cold reality is they fear him as well. And this router product will allow those constituencies, such as T-Mo and Verizon and AT&T, to have more ability to cover it with their own wireless network with our router in those places than another $150 a month up to a satellite. However, we sell, if you will, whiskey and rifles to those individuals. But we can cover both. And these examples from these are from real customers that say, I was in my RV and I couldn't connect at all. Now, it's a trivial small example, but that is repeated time and again by the people that use the product. Let's go forward. We'll get to Q&A. This is only to say that our partnerships with Verizon and T-Mobile are generating very interesting follow-on product activities, which are derivatives, cost-effective derivatives. In the tracker, look in the middle at the top. It's going from a tracker that sits on a pallet in a large 20-wheeler to that which can exist on the jacket of somebody climbing. And if he falls, the IoT sensors sense that he's fallen. If a theft takes place, it will sense the change in location for a theft and act accordingly. And so mobile CPE, we're talking very recently, to three-letter agencies here today and other days about anti-drone mobile trackers and CPEs, that is routers, that will interfere with drones for the military from Japan, from other parts of the world, and for our three-letter agencies here. I can't say any more right now. Forgive me for that. Go right ahead. In terms of global customers and partners, I've already mentioned T-Mobile. We've gotten certified by them. Verizon certified in 2 weeks. People like CellHub and on the far right-hand side, D&H and others are major resellers. So in the world we're accessing, of course, we can sell directly to customers, and we sell online in Amazon and Walmart today. But that's more for advertising, candidly. In order to get to a large number of customers, you've got to sell through powerful partners in this business, and we have those partners. These are ink deals. More about it later should you choose to engage with us. But the point is, the products are there, the channel relationships are there, the proof is there. Let's go on. If you look at our revenue stream, now that we have inventory in place and these channel relationships will do a little bit of money next year, but a considerable growth, the multiple at, for example, $70 million in 4 more years will be a factor of 4 in revenue, and EBITDA a factor of about 12 in my experience, and this is my personal experience with other exits. I expect this to be an M&A, not an IPO. different from the prior talk. Why? Because the powerful partnerships, in my experience, that we're creating will come up alongside us, and they will understand the power of what the company can do and the power of the management team, and they'll find it in their best interest to take it over. Competitors of ours, for sure, wireless companies, including, frankly, Starlink, or the people that are trying to compete with them, are great candidates for that. To the deal. I mentioned, pardon me, the management team. I already mentioned Eric Joe, my partner, just above and to the right of me. I can tell you that these other individuals are extremely strong, and the people under them are too. We have a team of 17 people at the present time. Worldwide, we use engineering here in the States. We're based in Florida, but also in South Korea. We manufacture in Vietnam and do final assembly and test here when it makes sense to do so. For example, for three-letter agencies. Here's the pitch for the dollars. We closed a Series A about 18 months ago for about 7.3 million. So we have a lead investor. We are extending that now. We have about 1.2 million in runway left. So this is the appropriate time. I don't want to go out for a full Series B, and we don't have to, because we want more revenue traction, frankly, than we have so far, even though we have all the bona fides that we need to achieve the revenue and the team to do it. We're going to raise a total of 5 million, about 1.5 of which will be contributed by our lead investor. The pre-money valuation is the same as it was for Series A. It's 21 million. And that comes to a couple of bucks and a half or so a share. So that's what I wanted to share. Pardon me, just 1 minute.
Yeah, sure. So that's actually took a little bit longer, but we don't have much for Q&A. But anyone has questions?
Pardon me, guys. I'm back. So I'd appreciate any interest for follow-on that you have, or references. We talked about some of those as well.
We'll take only one question from Jolene.
Sure.
Yes, thank you so much. Great presentation. So
Thank you.
it looks like there's some great opportunities in emergency management and rural areas as well.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, even though you've got a lot of traction and a very impressive track record, I've seen similar companies, and are you looking at acquiring Me Too companies that are fast followers?
It's a very interesting question. I've done that in the past with another company unrelated to this, and it was good because we were acquiring share. The trade-off, really briefly, and I don't have a simple answer for you, other than to say there's a couple we have our eyes on, and it's a fair and interesting question. I haven't seen anybody yet we'd want, and it's a dicey game, because we want to be acquired, which could happen even earlier if it's from a strategic competitor, even than the 4 years. So it's not just a multiple question, frankly. I haven't seen complementary technology. I think we'd be buying share more than technology, and I think that's hard when you're small, frankly. Happy to chat more about it, though.
Let's do. Thank you.
Yeah, let's do it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. So absolutely. Yeah. So that's the end of it. Let's just move on to HemoCath.
Yes, speaking, Eric. Do you hear me clear?
We hear you perfectly. Yeah, let's just stick to the 10 minutes. You're good to go.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eric Caron, CEO and co-founder of HemoCath. We are currently raising a $4.5 million seed round to secure FDA clearance and conduct a preclinical study with key opinion leaders at Yale School of Medicine. At HemoCath, our mission is to transform acute heart failure management from a reactive crisis response to a proactive predictive care with the hemodynamics AI platform. To understand why this is urgent, we have to look at the sheer scale of the problem. Heart failure is the leading cause of death and the largest single healthcare cost in both the US and the EU. When a patient experiences acute decompensated heart failure, or ADHF, it's a terrifying cardiac crisis. The heart fails to pump blood effectively, rapidly flooding the patient's lungs and body. The current standard of care to manage these critical heart failures is the pulmonary artery catheter, or PAC. Clinicians insert this catheter into a heart to directly measure hemodynamic data and assess heart function. However, today's legacy PACs are painful, restrictive, and dangerous, with a 3% risk of serious clinical complications. For clinicians, they are highly complex to install and use, require constant manual adjustments, and frequently deliver unreliable data. And then even worse, data interpretation errors happen up to 40% of the time, leading to wrong treatment decisions and prolonged expensive hospital stays. HemoCath solved these unmet clinical needs by pairing our advanced HemoCath pulmonary artery catheter with the hemodynamics AI to offer a solution that is safer for patients, easier for clinicians, and AI-driven for accuracy. So safer for patients by significantly reducing clinical risk and by improving comfort and mobility. Easier for clinicians by reducing their workload with our proprietary high-fidelity data capture engine, and AI-driven for accuracy by minimizing human error during data interpretation and clinical decision-making. We are disrupting a massive established $2 billion market, US market, that has currently no other options but to use outdated legacy catheters. To capture this market, HemoCath is building defensible competitive advantages with a high-margin, dual revenue business model. First, 35% of our revenue is traditional medtech hardware, selling our single-use HemoCath PE catheter at $550 per unit. Second, 60% of our business model is a scalable SaaS revenue stream. With our hemodynamics AI platform, we unlock predictable recurring revenue by charging $150 per patient per day to deliver real-time predictive clinical decision support. Our R&D for the HemoCath catheter is completed. Design is locked. We built a robust intellectual property protected by 8 issued patents. Furthermore, safety and effectiveness have already been confirmed by large animal trials. Our regulatory path is exceptionally de-risked. The FDA confirmed during our pre-submission meeting the 510(k) process of our HemoCath catheter, which requires no human studies. And this is significantly reducing our regulatory costs and time to market. Our leadership team has the exact expertise required to bring this breakthrough innovation to market. Dr. Chris Glover, our Chief Medical Officer, Des Regan, our Chief Technical Officer, Robert Orr, our Chief Financial Officer, and myself as CEO, we bring over 120 years of combined experience in medicine, engineering, commercialization, and corporate finance. To ensure rapid clinical adoption, we have established a strategic collaboration with Dr. Paul Hertz and Dr. Indy Singh, world-class key opinion leaders at Yale School of Medicine. When we look at the competitive landscape, HemoCath stands entirely alone. Non-invasive wearables have no place in acute heart failure management. Indirect methods like lab tests and imaging provide delayed, low-accuracy data. Permanent electronic implants carry high costs and long-term complication risks. And outdated legacy packs give direct data, yes, but they come with high risk, complexity, and 40% error rate. HemoCath is the first to market delivering high fidelity direct hemodynamic data with AI-driven predictive clinical decision support. We have a well-defined execution plan. This $4.5 million seed round will fund our FDA 510(k) submission and clearance, and also a large animal study with Yale School of Medicine. Following FDA clearance in 2028, our Series A will fund a strategic limited US market release of the HemoCath catheter. And finally, our Series B will fund a 200-patient post-market clinical trial to support the commercial launch of the HemoCath AI platform. Our sales will start in 2028 following FDA 510(k) clearance. HemoCath market adoption will be accelerated by clinical evidence of a irreversible discharge and AI monitoring of heart failure patients. HemoCath will achieve these near-term financial milestones and turn into a highly profitable company according to our projections based on a modest 3% market share in the US in 2030. So just as Apple sells iPhone to collect high-value data and then capture high-margin recurring revenue with their software platform, our company sells HemoCath catheters to collect high-value clinical data and then capture high-margin recurring revenue with our AI software platform. The market and exit potential of HemoCath is fully validated by BT's $4.2 billion acquisition of Edwards' legacy PA catheters business in 2024. The press release of that acquisition highlights that Edwards, the clear market leader with 55% of the US pipe market, sold $928 million of those outdated legacy packs in 2023. This is an incredible real-time validation of the true size of the pipe market, and HemoCath is uniquely positioned to capture this massive revenue pie and drive a premium exit. These recent acquisitions prove that major medical device companies are actively willing to pay multi-billion-dollar premiums for medtech companies for heart failure. Our next step is commercialization. We invite you to join us in transforming the future of acute heart failure care management. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much. So now the time for the Q&A. Shalish, Jolene.
Yeah, let me
I'll let
tee
you go
up.
first, Shalish.
Okay, thank you, Jolene. Eric, really impressive work.
Thank you.
I think in terms of just understanding, and I mean, I saw the regulatory plan, and when you based on the current fund raise and the 9 million subsequently, could you speak to the if you have already had regulatory meeting in terms of the 510(k) clearance? Is there a predicate device, or is this a PMA? Because again, this is an invasive sort of intracardiac sort of pressure monitoring device, right? So I'm curious to understand, what is the basis for this, where you're also saying there's no study needed, clinical study needed. So in terms of the 510(k) submission and the approval, the 9 million, what is the 9 million sort of need? So I'm curious to understand these numbers and what is the basis for, the ask.
Okay, really good questions. Thank you. Several questions, actually. So first thing first, yes, we had a pre-submission meeting with the FDA. It's well documented, where we share with them our vision for the regulatory path. It's a 510(k) path. And yes, they confirm, as you can see on the screen right now, the predicate device we have identified, they're comfortable with this. And in our case, they will require, yes, animal trials, roughly 25 specimens to show the effectiveness and the safety and biocompatibility. But as you can see from a regulatory standpoint of view, it does meet the definition of a 510(k) with a strong predicate device. So this is where we are from a regulatory standpoint of view. Now you ask questions about the next raise, the Series A round. So the Series A round will be, as you can see here, after FDA clearance. Well, we'll be focusing on first in human trials, collect the data, share this data with key opinion leaders, and publish the data as well for peer review articles, and as well those trials will allow us to define what would be our post-market clinical trials. And during this Series A round as well will allow us as well to launch the device, and as you can see here, to 10 to 15 key opinion leaders, where we're going to support them, collect the data, refine, and make sure that we collect the information, the support needed to get to accelerate market time to market. Does it answer your questions?
It does, and I mean, I can follow up with you as a because just want to ask you more questions. I in this regard, I have some experience in investing in this, so
Perfect. Absolutely.
happy to connect with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Julian, do you have a
Yeah,
question?
great presentation, Eric. So have you thought of partnering with any advocacy groups like AARP or American Heart Association in order to really have them support you in terms of connecting with patients for a lot less money for your clinical trials, as well as American Heart Association, AHA Ventures?
Not yet. Our priority first, as you can see on this roadmap, is to get regulatory clearance. It's the obvious path, low cost, and once we have access to data, then yes, we'll be able to be in front of clinicians, cardiologists, key opinion leaders, and tell them, look, it's a device, you can try it by yourself. And yes, absolutely, if they're interested to support us moving forward, when in collaboration, we'll be pleased, definitely.
Eric, how much have you raised to date? I know you're raising 4.5 in this round, but do you have a seed round or angel round you've already raised?
Yeah, we have raised $2 million so far, mostly from angel investors and grant. And so investors were most of the origin investors right now are physicians because they truly appreciate the clinical value of our solution. And so this is the first time we present or raise money from institutional investors. So
Thank you.
okay.
And how much was the grant and who was that from?
So, as you can probably hear in my voice, I'm a French-speaking Canadian. So the company started in Canada first. As you can see on our website, I was the co-founder with the late Dr. Bilodeau, a renowned and international cardiologist. He was based in Montreal. And so from there, that was 12, 15 years ago. So from there, we're focused on R&D. We're focused on developing a technology, yes, but to address a major problem. Personally, my background is in engineering, and I have solid experience as well as an entrepreneur. So I knew from that point that it was important to identify a major clinical need for a robust market, and with clear, obviously, IP behind and such. So yeah, so initial money was those individual investors, and from the grant we got from the U.S. government and tax credits is roughly total what 300K.
Thank you.
So yeah, it was for R&D purposes. So now they have no stakes and we're free to go. Yeah.
All right, so that's the end of the time. So move on to the last presenter of the day. So we have Aether Therapeutics. Lawrence Aaron.
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
here. I think Aaron is
Yeah.
Oh, you're here.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we see your screen.
Okay.
You've got 10 minutes from now. You're good to go.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to shift gears a little bit. But we're going after a really important problem, that is the opioid epidemic. And we're doing it in a way that is really different than anyone else has ever tried. If you follow this field, you know it's quite a crisis, but there has been quite a few failures along the way of folks trying to deliver pain relief without the risk of addiction that you get with opioids. And our approach is the first one actually targeting the molecular cause of dependence. And the reason we can do that is because Wolfgang Sade, who actually is on our call today, was the first to publish on exactly how opioids drive addiction at the molecular level. And so that's what we're targeting. So a lot of folks in this call have heard this presentation before, I noticed, but there's some new folks. So I apologize for any redundancy. I did invite the team this time for Q&A because I just want everyone to experience the team as well. It's a great team. So if you're not a biotech investor, you know, a lot of times you get concerned about biotech because of either perceived technical risk, perceived safety issues, time to exit, or costs. And I think we can address all four of those. In addition, we've got due diligence reports from bona fide investors, so you can piggyback on other investors' work. So everyone's familiar with the crisis, of course. You know, one of the pictures on this screen actually is a family member of one of our co-founders. The reason why the crisis continues, in spite of all the efforts to arrest it, really is because there are no alternatives to opioids if you want to treat or manage moderate to severe pain. So unfortunately, they're not going away anytime soon. And so what Wolfgang discovered is a novel compound that works as a modulator at the mu-opioid receptor. And what it does is it actually, when you dose it with an opioid, it actually preserves the analgesic function of that opioid while suppressing the signals in the brain that actually drive dependence. And so we're developing this drug for three potential applications. One as a non-addictive pain therapy with opioid equivalent analgesia. And that, of course, is the large addressable market that pharma is interested in. Also as a single agent treatment for opioid use disorder, and also as a treatment for the 30,000 babies born every year in this country addicted to opioids. We've got some pretty big names affiliated with this company, including Dr. Phil Skolnick, who used to run the therapeutics division of the National Institute for Drug Abuse. And he recently joined our board after he saw what we were doing. So our investment thesis is pretty straightforward. We're raising $10 million. It's going to take 2.5 years with 2 clinical studies to basically get to a value inflection point that we believe stands a high likelihood of achieving an exit targeting about a 10x return if those studies read out successfully. The asset is quite unique, as I already mentioned. We have an extensive IP portfolio, and we got plenty of evidence both in efficacy as well as safety. We've completed safety in 2 human studies with a prior formulation. We've got clean tox in 2 species, as well as a battery of non-clinical data in models that historically are predictive of the human condition. You know, this isn't like cancer or Alzheimer's, you know, where we've been curing those diseases in mice for decades, but not in humans. These models actually tend to be fairly predictive. And of course, the market is strong and not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's growing. And with the advent of new therapies, it's actually going to grow even further. RFK Jr., as you may know, recently cited the opioid crisis as the #1 priority for the HHS. So plenty of regulatory support and plenty of esteemed partners and affiliations we have with this company. So, you know, when you think about winning in biotech, there's a number of key success factors. You know, being able to develop drugs consistently, being able to secure an exit, being able to raise financing, and doing so efficiently. And we've got a team basically that checks all the boxes that you would want to check in terms of a been there, done that team. Rick Hawkins is a serial entrepreneur who, with many successful exits in the biotech world. Me personally, I've led a number of biotech teams and done a lot of deals, both on the sell side and the buy side at big pharma. Bruce is a very seasoned drug developer, and Laurence is great as well. And Wolfgang, I already mentioned, is a world-class researcher out of OSU and UCSF, but he's the brains behind this discovery. So our drug is for pain, where we're going to focus these first studies, is basically a combination with opioids. It's a single co-formulation, one single daily oral tablet dosed as a pain drug with opioid equivalent analgesia without addiction risk. That's the basic target product profile that we're going after. We're also going to generate data from these studies to support the NOW's indication, which is an orphan pediatric indication as well. So, I mentioned that no one else is doing this. If you follow the field, there's a lot of activity. Folks are trying to get away from opioids. One recently just got approved, Journavax. It's a sodium channel inhibitor right up here called NaV1.8. It's up in this green circle up in the right quadrant box. If you think about pain drugs on the kind of continuum of analgesia versus safety, opioids, of course, provide the best pain relief, but they have the lousiest safety profile. And then so everyone's going after non-opioid targets, but in so doing, they're actually compromising some level of analgesia for better safety. So as a result, if all these drugs actually worked, opioids still aren't going away. We're the only TPP in development that's actually going after opioid equivalent analgesia without the safety liabilities. There's no other drug in development right now who can make that claim. So we got a fairly straightforward path to a value inflection point, as I mentioned. So let me get into how we're gonna do that. We're gonna go do two studies. One safety study, even though we've already proven safety in a prior formulation. Primary purpose of this study is to generate the pharmacokinetic data to pick our dose for the phase 2 with this oral formulation. Then we're going to go into patients on chronic opioid therapy with a baseline level of dependence and a baseline level of pain management. Give them a dose of our drug on top of their chronic opioid therapy, and within 4 weeks, we should see if the drug is working, a decrease in the dependence scores from baseline with no change in analgesia. If we can demonstrate that, we basically have a proof of concept for two product profiles. One as a non-addictive pain therapy, and the other one as a treatment for opioid use disorder. We believe this would be the exit opportunity for pharma. So from an investor perspective, here's basically what it looks like. We raised the $10 million. It's a $13.3 million pre-money convertible note. We do have a lead investor. I'll get to those terms momentarily. We go make a batch of material. We go to Australia, and Australia, as you may know, is faster and cheaper. And we're talking to CROs that we've worked with in the past that have a history of generating quality data that the FDA finds credible. So no sacrifice in quality by going to Australia for this patient population. We go do the studies. If we get the positive readout, as I mentioned, which is basically change from baseline independence, no change in analgesia, then that data package, based on recent deals announced in the non-addictive pain space, would benchmark to anywhere between $100 and $300 million conservatively, just based on recent deals done in this space. If we don't get the exit, this is not a series of never-ending dilution. We would raise one additional round, and we would go straight into a registrational study for the neonate indication, which is a pediatric orphan disease. So it also qualify for a pediatric review voucher. If you're familiar with that program, the last one sold for $195 million a couple of days ago, actually. So that would be a study that would support marketing approval. So there would be an obvious exit opportunity, or we could launch ourselves in that small indication if we decide to stay independent. So in summary, we've got a program that is relatively de-risked for this stage of development, plenty of evidence, stage-gated, very capital efficient. Our lead investor has committed $4.5 million of our target raise of $10 million, $13.3 million pre-money, 25% conversion discount. We've got about $6.2 million committed as of last week. It says target close 7/31. That's going to be pretty ambitious. It's still possible. So what we're doing is we're going to close the first tranche of 7 million, and we're going to do a rolling close to 10. And the benefit of getting in for the first 7 basically is investors can basically tranche their investment 50% now, 50% upon approval from their Australian authorities to dose our first patient, which is about 7 months away or so from close of financing. So it gives you, gives our early investors basically an opportunity to de-risk a bit. So we have technical diligence reports available now from 2 groups. One, our lead investor, which is available under CDA at our data room. The other one is available non-confidentially The Keiretsu Forum EcoVG group just completed and issued this week a very comprehensive due diligence report. If you know their process, it's quite rigorous. We had about 6 deep dive calls with the team, and that's my timer. So that is that's available non-confidentially for anybody who'd like to see it. I'll put my email in the chat. And I've got Bruce Imbert, our CMO, Laurence Noor, our Chief Operating Officer, and Wolfgang Sadi, our CSO co-founder, on the call to also say hello and answer any questions.
Wonderful. Well done. Now the time for the Q&A.
Hey, Aaron, how you doing?
Hey, Scott.
It's Scott. You may have covered this. If I did, I apologize if I missed it. Went in one ear and out the other. What's the timing on exit? I know you and I had some discussions around this. Where do you see that at?
Well, so right now our plan is to execute these studies and get a readout on the second Australian study with 2.5 years after we close the financing. And let me share my screen. I'll show you the timeline, actually. I shouldn't have stopped sharing. Yeah, so this is the use of funds and the basic study timeline. We believe that top line readout right now slated for second half 2028. Again, but assuming the current market holds, based on recent deals done in this space, would generate an exit. Since the last time you and I spoke, Laurence and I went to Bio and met with a number of companies and had some follow-up conversations. I think we can safely say that if we delivered a data package with 4 weeks of treatment demonstrating in patients on chronic opioid therapy, a decrease in the dependence scores by at least 30%, and we're going for more than that, but that'd be the clinical minimum, and preservation of their pain management based on validated pain assessment tools. You know, what pharma is telling us is that would be a data set that would generate pretty significant interest. So no guarantees, of course, but that's what we're going after, and that's informed by qualitative interviews with market participants.
Okay. I'll send a separate note. I'm gonna try to. I'd like to get a meeting scheduled with you and one of our investment committee members for Fund 4.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'd love to I'll invite the team. Happy to talk to them. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Aaron, Aaron, pretty impressive work. Just in terms of the question, so this study, which is going to be the phase 2A study, will be in the chronic patients and also the neonates, right? So is the 8 million going to cover for both, or are you?
No, so it'll be 10 million. We will generate safety data from these studies that will then feed into a subsequent neonate study if we don't exit before that. So Bruce, you could talk about the study we're doing in Australia. It's right here on the screen.
Bruce is, he's not on the call.
Okay, go ahead, Laurence. Yeah, go ahead, Laurence.
Yeah, sure. So we are going to do 2 studies. The first one is your typical single ascending dose in healthy volunteers. It's mostly for PK. Of course, we'll have data on safety with our oral formulation, but remember, we already have human safety with an IV formulation, which was at a much higher dose than this one. So we really think that there is no safety issue at all here, but we still need to do this. And then we move into the study in patients, again, patients taking opioids to treat their chronic pain. And then this is really going to be our proof of concept efficacy study. It's going to be a 28-day where the patients will be dosed, or they'll be on their opioids, whatever they're taking for their chronic pain. And then on top of that, they will get our compounds, and we compare their dependence for, and we look at their pain score, etc., compared to placebo. So these are really the 2 trials that we will do in Australia. And that will be at the end of that, our proof of concept a study that will be completed and opening opportunity for an acquisition at this point.
And then Shelley, regarding your question on the neonate study. So, um, assuming this is positive, again, we'd expect to, we'll be talking to big pharma in parallel with this, so that when we read out the studies, they're just sitting there waiting for the data card to turn over. And so we'll try to, create a dynamic of competitive dynamic at that point. But if we don't get the exit we want at that point, then we can take the safety data from these studies and go to the FDA and propose a registrational study for the neonate indication. And the reason we can do that is because right now those babies there's no standard of care that involves a therapy. Basically, what they do is they go straight to the NICU. They go through about a 3 or 4 week weaning protocol where they're just basically tapering down the opioids and caring for them in the NICU before they can finally get off. What we would do is go in with a proposal to shorten the weaning time considerably, and we think that would be a very approvable endpoint that the FDA would support, and also obviously would have a huge health economic benefit as well.
Yeah, I think I misunderstood maybe from your initial point when you said that the 2 studies would be one, the chronic patients and the pediatric. And I think the explanation is different. So and to your point, again, the doses are different. It's a different sort of
formulation
use. So you may not be able to get away with that piece, so something to keep in mind is what personally.
No, I think you're right. If you're looking for regulatory risk on the neonate, there's an outside chance, although our advisors don't think it's that likely. But to your point, Shelley, good point. There's an outside chance, if you're concerned about regulatory risk, that the FDA would look at our data package and say, hey, interesting, why don't you guys go do a larger adult study first before you go into neonates? That's a possibility. Our goal is to basically de-risk this thing and let pharma take that risk. But that's a potential clinical or regulatory risk. I agree.
Yeah, or you put a scenario. I mean, I think if your CMO is on the call, but, you put a scenario where a potential small study that gets added into this on top, just with some costs, sort of, to sort of add as a risk sort of buffer to say, because you're like you said, that has the it gives you the orphan indication. It potentially could give you a pediatric voucher. It's a very big advantage on top of what you're suggesting, and so investors may be interested in that piece to just de-risk, right? I love your slide about de-risking the team and then the de-risking the investment. Great job. Yeah.
Thank you. Good feedback.
All right. Any other questions? Well, we'll follow up with sharing the decks and the LinkedIn profile and the data, where we added like an extra part in the event, which we call it open mic session, which is very much allows anybody in the room to have like a 1 minute maximum just to kind of say something. It could be personal, it could be business, whatsoever. Anybody wants to take advantage of that? Can say something about you. Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Well, thank you. It was an honor to participate today. And I see some old friends that I met at JPM. Good to see you, Shailesh. So what I'd like to say is we continue to learn from each other. We collaborate. But one of the sectors I've been invested in first as a principal founder, and the last 30 years is longevity and aging well. Before it used to be called anti-aging. But currently I'm working as a senior wellness director for a company called NMedics, which has a 5-minute point of care using a new HRV that's FDA approved. And we're doing our last convertible note bridge round. It's been raised $20 million. We're revenue positive. If anybody's interested in the first HRV that measures parasympathetic and sympathetic with a world-class team and revenue that is actually scaling across the US, I'd certainly be more than happy to introduce you to the founders and talk to you about how we are measuring how stress affects the immune system.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Anyone else want to take advantage of the open mic sessions to say something to the audience? Yeah,
I'm
go
happy
ahead,
to.
Scott.
I'm sorry. I'll go after Scott.
All right, after Scott then. Yeah, Scott,
I
go
was just
ahead.
going to say, I think this is one of the first bigger calls I've sat in with 10 Capital. I've known Hall for quite a while and done stuff in person with him, but I'm the general partner of Beyond Capital Funds. We are an angel fund. We invest in pre-seed seed. Our niche is to invest in innovative disruptors led by faith-based founders. We've invested in everything in from med tech devices. Certainly we're considering Aaron's company. We've invested in some that are around aging care. So I find that one interesting. We've got a couple of investments in that. We've invested in drone companies, AI companies, cybersecurity companies, believe it or not, even a coffee company or two. So we're going to be more engaged. I think Paul and I talked about being more engaged with 10 Capital. So look forward to meeting more folks. If you're interested in investing, let us know. If you are a pre-seed company, we're starting to raise for Fund 4, and we're going to be looking to deploy, hopefully start deploying capital the back half of this year, early part of next year. We do vintage year funds, so look forward to getting to know the network more.
Wonderful. Lee?
Hey, thank you, everyone, and pleasure to be here. I'm one of the co-founders of Bleed.io Tech. We are a wireless infrastructure company for physical AI. So we build hyper-localized networks down where all the action is and run them on a decentralized basis so that resilient operations can continue. We are currently raising pre-seed. We're in due diligence with 3 different angel groups. We're getting some VC attention, so we're already having conversations about our next round. Just a couple quick highlights. Capital Factory has taken a small equity position in us because of our dual use capabilities. Decentralized resilient networks work really well in factories. They work really well with drone swarms. Capital Factory has a small equity position in right of first refusal on our Series A, and we are among the last 4% of companies in Pepperdine's most fundable companies contest. So we're happy to say that we're looking forward to the next step there in the interviews. And a lot of other cool stuff. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I put the deck in the chat, but love to talk to more of you, and thanks again.
Thank you, Lee. Anyone else want to say something to the crowd?
Well, yeah, this is Wolfgang Sedey at Aether. I just wanted to add, since the topic of aging comes in, very many people who are on opioids, they suffer in cognitive decline. And it's one of the effects that is also caused by this mechanism of the opioid receptor, which is inflammatory. So we think that it's a good possibility that our compound would also, if combined in old folks or in cancer patients, would reduce cognitive decline. So I'm very hopeful in that direction to reduce the inflammatory processes.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Kurt Wilkin. I'm 192 years old. I'm a client of Jolene. So if you guys need to anybody to talk to. Not really. I'm based in Austin. I don't know where you guys are based, but we invest in a lot of early stage companies, but I also run a group that we meet quarterly for founders, funders, and people just to get together and connect in Austin once a quarter. If you're interested, I know Hall and the folks at 10 Capital have details. I'd love to have you guys meet in person. We don't try to sell anything, don't try to buy anything, just meet and connect. And so I love this portion of your program, guys, because now we can actually talk as human beings. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that was kind of an idea I suggested, and it seems like it's working and everybody loving it. So yeah, please don't be shy.
I'll introduce myself then. I'm Steve Shapiro. I live in Bethesda, Maryland. I'm with eHealth Ventures. We're an Israeli venture capital fund. We invest in health tech, primarily Israeli companies, and a lot of them come to the U.S. To commercialize and raise capital. And we've used 10 Capital for many years to some of our portfolio companies. and a lot of them do a flip where they become a U.S. company. Anyway, it's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Yeah, don't be shy. Just unmute yourself and just go introduce yourself.
Yeah, no, just maybe I can quickly introduce myself. So, big fan of what 10 Capital Network's doing. My name is Shailesh Chavan. I'm a physician, worked in biotech, pharma, and now sort of pivoted after being part of corporate ventures side at big pharma to starting our own venture studio. So we are focused on chronic diseases leading to aging. That includes therapeutics, medtech, diagnostics, and so early stage, pre-seed, seed. We work with mostly university startups or university founders. So partner with them to co-create companies. So we've done about 12 odd investments and have under our belt. And then I'm also part of a longevity fund. So as a which has done fund one with 14 investments, mostly coming from molecular and cellular markers of aging and cellular reprogramming, for example. So Dr. George Church, David Sinclair sort of focus work. So we've done some investments there. And we work with universities in the US, but also in Europe. So we have presence in Sweden, work with Uppsala University, Karolinska Institute, and then also in Asia. So happy to connect with folks.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm a big fan. So yeah, we would love to see you on all events. Scott, yeah, you want to come back? Want to say something?
Oh no, I'm good. I just forgot to lower my hand. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right. Cool. Anyone else before we wrap up?
I just want to introduce myself because I can't off camera. I'm Demia. I'm part of the 10 Capital team. I've been working with them for probably like 6 years now, but I'm always off camera because I have a 1-year-old who thinks that every phone call is for her. So I tend to stay off camera because she thinks that she should chime in like she is now. But I just wanted to reach out and just say hi because you guys probably rarely see emails from me and everything, but just to give a face to the name.
Thank you so much, Dimea. Appreciate it. Me, myself, I'm based out of Cairo, Egypt, and had a personal good news. I just had my second baby. His name is Adam. 3 days old. So,
Wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. So yeah, I'll so this the next event is going to be in the 22nd, and then we do have another event in the 28th and 29th. I'd love to see you all in there. I'll send you an invite. I'll send the decks. I'll send some emails. Please get back to me asking for introductions and who you would love to be connected to, and that will be the end of it today. Thank you so much for your time, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Great.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.